A flood of memories washed over Eric. Him at 5, in knee socks and a sweater vest, trying not to fidget while grandmother lectured all the ways he was expected to fulfill his destiny as the heir to the family fortune. Nina, his younger cousin, listening curiously while she tugged at her braids and clutched a stuffed panda. Eric at 11, arguing over playing fucking polo in Westchester instead of baseball in Central Park like he wanted. Like his father, deceased just a few months prior, had promised. Nina had cried and been shuttled to her etiquette lessons. 18, howling his decision to attend Dartmouth instead of Princeton like the rest of the de Vries clan. Nina, watching with wide eyes while she focused on her homework. She would attend Smith, of course, like her mother, Violet. And the last time, 22, fresh out of school with a degree in English instead of finance, Eric was expected to take the reins of the family business, but instead he gave it the finger and went to Harvard Law instead. He had enough money in the trust from father's death to pay for it himself. Okay, so it wasn't much of a rebellion, trading one white-collar career for another. But he did it himself, and did it without being held under the cranky, wrinkled thumb of the resident tyrant of the Upper East Side. Celeste Annika Van Dusen de Vries. Grandson. Her voice sounded exactly the same. Sharp, but rough around the edges, like a serrated knife. But when Eric turned toward the leather armchair under the original Van Gogh, he found the one thing that had changed completely. Grandmother herself. She was never a big woman, but now she stooped like a vulture, withered like a half-sheared, weather-beaten branch. She wore a scarf around her head, Hermes, no doubt, though wisps of white hair slipped under its edges. She still wore matching Chanel coordinates, but the tweed pantsuit hung off a frail body that seemed mostly skin and bones. When she breathed, something rattled in her lungs from across the room, like a brewing storm. "Sit down, Eric," she ordered, gesturing toward the couch with a thin fingernail still polished a tasteful, girlish pink. "Grandmother." He greeted her with a stiff nod, but obeyed. Old habits die hard. "It's a pleasure to see you again." It was not. But Eric's manners were too well entrenched to say anything else. He might not have forgiven her for what she did, but he was too well bred to be rude. Fuck. Grandmother balanced her hands on the oxygen tank in front of her, then appraised her grandson openly. Eric willed himself not to look away or fidget with his clothes. "You're a man, Eric. Remember that." Because he was not the scrawny 22-year-old she last saw. Since telling his family where they could stick it, he had gone to the best law school in the world, worked his ass off at a top 20 firm, and then started his own shop with one of his best friends. Eric was proud of what he had accomplished without his family's money or connections. He didn't need this frail woman's approval anymore. He didn't need any of them, and hadn't for a long time. "You've grown up." Grandmother waved at Garrett to bring in the tea. "You've done well with your little law firm, I understand, although I see it hasn't taught you to stop dressing like a pauper." Eric crossed one foot over his knee, ignoring her jibe at his t-shirt and jeans. He generally preferred more tailored looks, to tell the truth. A whole rack of designer suits hung in his closet at home. Armani, Boss, Tom Ford, Burberry. He liked a nicely cut lapel, a well-chosen pocket square. He had a tailor in Boston on speed dial. The worn denim and concert t-shirt were for her. He knew they would piss her off. "I have done well," he agreed. There was no point in being modest. Since he, Skylar Crosby, and Kieran Beckford started Copley Associates 2 years ago, the firm had gone from 3 attorneys to 10, and they were looking to hire 2 more. They'd already developed a reputation for